Well, hey everyone. Thanks for joining me and Jason from AwakeSouls. We're here today on a Wednesday evening to discuss flat Earth, holographic thoughts, and simulation theory. I'm just going to introduce the producer of the AwakeSouls channel, Jason. Really nice to have you on the channel.
Well, thanks for having me. This is my first time doing a hangout, and I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I was just reminiscing about the sky in the background. I'm just going to present you here. Pretty interesting. What kind of colors you got there?
It's just, it's at the end of twilight, so it won't be long and it'll be all dark, but we've got a little bit of color left at the horizon right now.
Yeah, it's incredible. I like the lighting system you have as well. You're a carpenter, right?
I am, yeah.
With wood.
Well, I do wood, I do metal. I know all the mechanical trades too, electric, plumbing. The only one I really don't dabble in is HVAC because you got to have a license to get the gases.
Yeah, it'd be a couple year course. You could. But yeah, the gradient sky behind you is nice. It's got like the orange, the light blue, then the darker blue happening. Remember?
I'm glad you can see it.
Yeah, so you're from lower than the closer to the equator. I'm from, I believe, the 53rd parallel. I don't know. You're located below the 47th.
Oh, way below that. Austin is 30 degrees north. I did grow up in Wisconsin, small town called Ripon. So I am from the north where it gets really, really cold, but I couldn't take it anymore. So I'm down here now.
Yeah, they got some good hockey up there in Wisconsin. Always.
They do. I was a hockey player. There's not much of it here, but
no. Yeah, me too as well. And I find that the boundaries that are made up are usually not really there, right? We're all basically North Americans. I believe we're all kind of the same kind of.
Yep.
So, yeah, as the light fades there, I guess I'll lead into my. I just have to know. I remember I seen your first video. I believe you were on vacation. Were you in Saint Martin?
I was, yeah.
And you had become a flat earther pre that video?
I had, and I had heard about the P900, and I was on vacation, and there was a camera shop that had a better price on the camera than I could get in the States. So I went for it, and I wasn't disappointed. I got some crazy footage while I was there.
Yeah, I have to say thank you for making the choice. I've really enjoyed a lot of your footage. My next question for you is, I always notice, like today I was out getting something to eat and there was a huge rainbow and I hadn't brought my phone. So how do you deal with the moments when you don't have the camera?
Well, I usually have, I use an iPhone. So I usually have that with me. So I'll use that to catch what I can with it. And I do try to keep the P900 pretty close to me.
Yeah, I could totally agree with that. I think my next investment, instead of the P900, I'm going to get the Phantom Advanced. I want to get the one that goes 5 miles, and my plan is to launch it from CN Tower and see, because I believe that's 1,100 feet to start. I think I'd be able to get it to go pretty high.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So yeah, what was it? Because I found your channel personally when I was searching Square Earth related instances, and I believe your video popped up. So do you have any connections there?
Not really. My research was sort of independent to that, and then I have come across some of that, but I'm not well studied up on it.
Well, yeah, basically, as we go throughout the podcast, the impromptu here, I'll explain to you what I believe. Many people can confuse a thin layer of ice to, let's say, an entire room. We're trying to basically render an image backwards. So I'm jumping ahead here. So yeah. What was it that when you finally was it the river video? What was it that finally pushed you to the edge where you were like, I believe that it's flat?
Well, I had been a conspiracy guy for a while. A little bit after 9/11, I started, I discovered 9/11, and it started to wake me up, and then I started stumbling across all the other major false flag hoax events. And,
sorry. Go ahead.
and so I've been following, conspiracy forums, and that's where I feel like I'm going to find the truth. I don't feel like I'm going to find it in any sort of mainstream thing. And I know that there's a lot to sift through and to weed through in the conspiracy forums, but I started seeing flat Earth topic popping up, and at first I thought this was just ridiculous. I didn't click on it. I didn't look into it, and then maybe months have passed where I saw it over and over, and finally I thought to myself, well, hey, what do I have to lose? Let's see what this is about. And so I started looking at it, and right away I could see that there was something to it. And what I needed to see was a model of how a flat Earth would work. And then that started processing in my head. I shut myself off from the internet for a while. It was pretty overwhelming at first. I'm like, this is a worldwide conspiracy. So I shut myself off from the internet. I really did a lot of prayer, a lot of deep thinking. And it was during that time that I live on a river, and it flooded very severely. And I became very aware of exactly what our elevation is here. And so with what I had learned about the curvature, the correct curvature for Earth, I started thinking to myself, I'm 400 feet above sea level, and the coast, I looked it up, it's 140 direct miles from where I live to the coast where the river enters the Gulf. And I did the curvature calculation for it, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Because what I did is I turned myself around and positioned myself out at the coast where I know the river has to get there, and then mentally pictured by, looking back towards my house. And I'm like, if I factor in curvature, it means that the river actually has to climb like 13,600 feet in order to get to where I'd be standing out at the Gulf. So that drove it home for me.
That's incredible. And I guess I can, if you wanted to screen share a little bit, I could, or you could, depending on the situation.
Yeah, what would you like to see?
Well, that river video, if you could pull it up.
Sure.
And you could just give us a brief, because it, blew me out of the water, or I don't know the proper explanation here. It was an actual, what it is? I believe it is because as a builder, and you as a builder, you were able to connect with the model that you'd seen in your mind. And that's the key. The key thing was the elevation and the properties of water, right?
Yeah. I mean, because the water is the constant, where that it has to flow downhill. It doesn't flow uphill. So now all of a sudden you have this rule that has to be followed. And then if we're on a ball, the rule really can't be followed. It has to be so convoluted in order to explain it in the ball earth theory, because now all of a sudden gravity has to sort of like squish the water out from higher elevation down to the coast. But that kind of squishing effect would be seen everywhere on everything. If it's going to just squeeze the water out, it'd be squeezing everything out.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I could kind of take the perspective of the way that string theory and quantum mechanic explains the cosmology is that we're on a slow slope, and basically everything started from what they believe is the Big Bang. They don't know what happens up the curve of the slope, but all we can really know is that things are declining at a rate, and that's all we can observe. And that is also aligning with the horizon. There's a few key things that we can observe. I'm just pulling up the river video now.
I've got it pulled up. So you want me
Okay.
to present or
Yeah,
share?
sure. Sure. I'll click on you as we chat away. Yep, you should be presenting. Perfect. Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, so pull the
go ahead.
microphone.
No, it's good. You're good.
All right. So can you hear that, or should I just describe what's happening?
Yeah, just hit the volume down and just talk about it. I think it'll be better.
Okay, so I'm just going to jump through here a little bit. What I'm showing right here is where a river enters into a body of water, a gulf, a sea, an ocean, whatever. We know that at this point right here, everything back inland, has to be above this in order for the water to flow down to get to here, because this is sea level. This is our baseline, our constant. And so, I explained the curvature calculation. A lot of people don't understand how severe 8 inches per mile squared is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I remember you explained it with the slope, right?
Yeah, that comes up here. So I take, so I remember one time I was riding in the back of the car as a child with my parents, and I was curious about the curvature, and I asked them, like, how much does it curve? And I got the answer 8 inches. And that satisfied me because, at a mile, I didn't think that I'd be able to perceive the 8 inches. But it's the 8 inches per squared that makes a huge difference, because if you just do 8 inches per mile, it's a constant slope. So here's 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles, 50 miles. And if you do 8 inches per mile, what you're living on is a cone. So
Yeah, keep going. That's good.
So this right here, this is using CAD, AutoCAD. It shows 8 inches per mile squared is a formula that has to work, because it's really the only thing that gets us to the 3959 both directions. It has to be 3959 this way, it has to be 3959 this way. And if you do just 8 inches per mile, this is just going to be a constant slope like this that that'll never come back around. At 3959, you have to, at 3960, you have to miss the earth, as long as there's not like a mountain or something right here.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this is where I show the distance from my house to the coast. It's 140 miles. And that is a straight shot. It's not the winding path of the river. And so I draw a circle here. I guess it's 143 miles to be exact. And then the curvature for that is 13,232 feet. And that 13,232 feet is subtracting out the 400 feet of elevation above sea level that my house sits at. And then so I modeled this up. Here's a calculator. So I modeled it up in SketchUp, and this is just to show that if you're on a ball Earth, everybody considers themselves to be standing upright. Australians don't think of themselves as being upside down, and people at the equator don't think of themselves as being standing sideways. Everybody positions themselves upright. So here I've got a character at the top here, which means from wherever you're standing, the ball Earth is supposed to be descending all the way around you, the full 360 degrees. It's supposed to be down below you. So if you're positioned where the river enters into the body of water that it empties into, and you measure out the distance you know, like for me, I was measuring out to where I live, then there's this curvature drop here in the ball model that, so the river, my house right here, would actually have to be going uphill the 13,232 feet to get to the coast. And we don't see that. It doesn't happen. I talk about in this video the amount. So here's a model of the way it really is, and that is we have sea level. You're out at the coast. My house is 400 feet above sea level, and the water drains down to the coast here, and that creates 2.79 feet of drop per mile, and that's typical of a slow moving river. I guess rivers that get into the, you know, five is where you start having some rapids, and then up to 10, that's when people are white water rafting, when you have that amount of drop in a mile.
Yeah, I'm totally with you.
And I don't think of there's anything else to really. I mean, that's the gist of the video. That's what solidified it in my head, because I had a real world proof right in the backyard that once I locked onto that, I knew that the Earth was flat, and then I really started diving into the subject more. I have a thirst for discovering the truth.
Yeah, it's highly addictive. Did you remove the earphones?
I did not.
Okay. Let me just see.
Let's stop sharing here.
Okay. Oh, there, the echo went away. So what I was going to say was that it was still a bit of an echo. Maybe that's my mic. Oh, why it's doing that to us now. So yeah, basically the 2.79, that was feet per mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that basically almost lines up with the slow roll of the cosmological idea of string theory and quantum mechanics. I guess we'll take a jump into that, and then we'll come back to some more things that I'd like to talk to you if you have the time.
Yeah.
Cool. So what I'm going to pull up here is just an explanation of, so with the simulation theory, you're a proponent of that. I've come to understand through your work.
I was convinced of it a while ago to a degree of, I was positive enough about it to talk about it, but every day the evidence continues to mount more and more, and I become even more and more convinced.
Well, yeah. Well, when we get to the moon, by equinox monthly, I think people are going to have an interesting evening. I know when I saw your video, I was like, "What?" Like, man, what a find! It's what is it? 90 degrees west and 270 degrees, or 90 degrees east, 270 degrees west.
Twice a month. Everywhere on Earth. Everywhere.
For eternity?
Yes.
Just to add that in there for all the pundits. So yeah, here we go. I'm going to screen share this with everyone. Let's see this. So this is basically one of the videos that I was presenting. Can you see it?
I can.
Okay, yeah. I clipped some parts of it because, like Leonard Susskind, the gentleman talking, says he's the bad boy. I guess I've kind of occulted his theory and kind of thrown it on top of a flat plane. So basically what we're seeing here now is Leonard's drawing of how a holographic projection would work. So you can see the only way that they could come up with this three-dimensional layered image on the center shining light through was to have the image plastered on this thin 2D layer of plastic. You can see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting about it to me is the fact that the more scrambled the thin layer was, the better the image was able to come out, which completely contradicted what I would thought. And furthermore, when they get through the most of the show, they get on to the more that we observe reality and measure it, they're trying to state that it's going to be harder to detect. Do you have any thoughts for that?
I don't know that it's harder. Well, I feel like we're, it's sort of like when you pull up a sticker. I feel like we've got a corner peeled up enough now that we're going to really be able to get a hold on it and rip the sticker off easy.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. It just took that initial edge to turn up, right?
Yeah.
And it so happens to be parallel, flat, and 100% true. So what Leonard's discussing here, this looks like an X's and O game, is actually a demonstration of pixels or bytes or units or ones and O's or dashes and dots, however it is that you compute it. You can clearly see that it's a two-dimensional sheet, right?
Yeah.
So basically what he says is the way that it works is you shine the light through that two-dimensional space, and when you multiply it with levels of different bits and dots, basically a three-dimensional image will form in the center. And I just, I don't know if you've studied any of this or have heard of any of these issues.
Well, I've studied math quite a bit, and it's a topic that I plan on circling back to. I had a bunch of math videos up that I pulled down because of the current topics that I'm dealing with. I just didn't want to have too many fronts open. Any good strategist doesn't want to have too many fronts open. So I'm going to be coming back around to it. But one of the things that I figured out about the binary bits, as far as the ones and zeros.
Yep.
0 represents nothing. So it's the off state, and the 1 is the on state. So really, I feel like we're doing the most inefficient thing we can possibly do with computers, with using this, the binary bits, because it's no different than Morse code. It's on and off, and we have the use of symbols that we can use that can represent so much more. So I have a feeling that our computers, the ones that we're using, are actually been leveraged to the lowest possible way we can use them, and that there's powers out there that are leveraging the power of the processor in much higher ways.
Well, yeah, I could instantly jump in there with my thoughts on communications. I talk to people all worldwide during this flat Earth research, and the communication delay sometimes is so insignificant. We're talking almost 10 to the minus of numbers. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like in a row. And what I'm thinking is the voxel level, or the pictographic interpretation of the binary code, is something that we can achieve. But it's funny that you bring that up, because also at the end here, Leonard Susskind, the lead, this gentleman, by the way, this definitely looks like the flat Earth card, just to point out to people. He mentions that sometimes simpler and not overloading your information is the best way to be. So yeah, not trying to so I'd also like to take a look at some of your newer videos. If you'd like to pull up another video.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of which one. They're all pretty good.
Some are better than others. The bi-monthly moon one I was real excited about, because it was a new breakthrough for me. And then the part 5 series, where I deal with the sunrise and sunset angles, that that to me was pretty important because, so I know that Earth is a flat plane, but the model that I was introduced to when I started studying the flat Earth is the one with the sun and moon doing circles over an AE map. And it really doesn't matter what AE map you're using, because the problem lies in the sun and moon doing circles. And so when I came across that, that was a little bit before the equinox. That was important to me. I feel like we're sort of being double dipped in the disinformation. You know, first we're on the ball, and then no, you're on a flat plane, but the sun and moon are doing circles. Well, I'm confident that that's not possible now.
I'm with you wholeheartedly. Well, you know, for me, it was a competition with my inner self to find what could possibly be wrong with this flat Earth model that I so fell in love with so easily. And that's when the shadows, the symmetry of the North and the South, and the equinoxes basically knocked me right out. I was like, you know, my world was sunk for about 24 hours until the levity of the situation came back to me. And I was like, just because it's not a circling sun doesn't mean that it's not an infinite flat plane.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, there's no curvature. Nobody's found the curvature yet.
Yeah, no, they're never going to. That's what this whole holographic scientific release is about, is because when they hit the conundrum of the fact that there's no curvature and everything is flat, instead of stating that it's, you know, maybe created from a creator and a uni perspective, so basically you're the center, God has made us all the center of our own universes, instead of stating that, they're going to say it's a holograph and, you know, some aliens built it, you know.
Well, you know, that's what they're leading up to.
I don't think, you know, that's when the simplicity of the creator's way just always seems to take over, you know?
So what would you like to look at?
The moon, the bi-monthly moon equinox data, please.
Okay. All right, so here to screen share.
Yeah, and as you're bringing it up, I just wanted to ask you, so your P900 has a pretty good zoom, right?
It's an 83x optical zoom, which is a 2,000 millimeter equivalent.
It's technology is just, you know, they came out with the fisheye on the GoPros to try and slow us down, but you know, for us to believe the moon is 300,000 miles away, when you can zoom in on it and almost see, you know, the surface of it.
Well, yeah, you can see into the craters with a P900. It blew me away. I'm like, how is this possible? And then I decided to test it out, and so I mapped out the distance to the tallest building in Austin from a location that was going to be good to video it from. It was like 9 1/3 miles, and so the amazing thing to me is that the resolution of that building, when I zoomed in on it, blew out way more than the resolution of the moon when I zoom in on that. So that tells me that the moon is closer than 10 miles.
Well, the rendering of it, I guess we could say.
Right. Because it's not physical. So can you see this?
Yeah, you're broadcasting. It's perfect to you.
Okay, perfect. So this is something that, you know, if there's anybody out there that enjoys number puzzles, sequences, you know, like if a sequence goes 1, 3, 6, 9, what's the next number? 12, right? Well, you can make more complicated sequences where maybe it's square roots, or, you know, for each number you add 1 and then a square root, or, you know, some sort of algorithm or a formula. And when I look at the numbers for the sunrise, you know, the sunrise angle, the sunset angle, and its solar noon declination, the moon rise angle, the moon set angle, and its meridian passing angle, what I try to do is in my mind model it up and see what's going on. And when I was doing that, the numbers all of a sudden jumped out at me, and I realized that. So I was looking at a location on the equator, and I saw when the moonrise was at 90 degrees east, and it set was 270 degrees west, and because it was at the equator, its meridian passing was 90 degrees directly overhead. So for that location, the moon was perfectly overhead in all four directions. Like if you dropped a plumb bob from it, it would hit you in the head.
Yeah, we use dot line lasers now, but yeah, same thing, right?
Yeah. So I mean, so then I knew the location of where the moon was at, and then
the crossing, the meridian crossing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had your two, the X and the Y. It basically scribed your dead center point.
Yep.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
And so here's the problem with the sun and moon doing circles around an AE map like this. So let's say this is the sun or the moon. It's following an arc. You know, it could be up at the Tropic of Cancer. It could be at the equator. It could be at the Tropic of Capricorn. But it's doing these circles. And if you would go down a line of longitude, and you were to shoot one of your laser lines perfectly east and perfectly west, well, then you could never have the sun or moon coming in at a 90-degree angle, because it would be following an arc. This line right here creates a tangent to the circle. So I've discovered before that the sun right now, if you look at data for cities in the southern hemisphere, the sun is rising south of east, and it is setting south of west. So it is creating an arc that goes like this. And can you see my cursor? Do you see that?
I can. Oh yeah, totally. You're perfect. Sorry, I was muted.
Okay. Yeah, that's all right. So it's making this this arc right now, and that means that the sun and moon can't be doing circles. But so I had looked at the sun on the equinox, and I hadn't studied the moon yet, because the moon jumps all around, and it was sort of hard to wrap my head around. But when I started looking at it, let's get this going here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So in the video, what I do is I pick my locations that I'm going to be studying, and I went with I think it's Ushuaia in Argentina, So Gabriel, the equator, and Schaeferville, Quebec. And so they all line up very close to the 68-degree longitude. So they're all in a line. And then there's land for each one of them, and there's cities close to there. So we have data as far as the sunrise and sunset. Now this is a little bit interesting. I've got the cities on the time zone map at timeanddate.com, and I didn't go into it in this video here, but if you look at these time zones, it's pretty odd as far as the way they're laid out. I mean, that's the way you have the -3 here come all the way over here. There's something wrong with that.
If you want to go full screen, or I can add a point there.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, that's a little bit more in focus.
Okay. And so what I'm doing here is I'm looking at, this is timeanddate.com, and I'm looking at, this is December 8th. And so it's really, this city is really close to the equator. It's almost got, a 90-degree meridian passing.
Oh, sorry to cut you off. So if I was standing in this city and I took a protractor and lined it up, we're looking at the moon's angle and set, rise and set. Is that right?
Yeah, well, if you picture yourself holding a compass where you get, it lined up to north, the moon would be rising at 90 degrees or true east. And then it would come directly straight at you, and it would go directly over your head. It would be straight above your head, and then it'll set west. Now you see these numbers aren't perfect. This doesn't say 270, but if you look at the day before and the day after, you can see that this is the day that it rose east, set west. Because if you look at these angles, it rose south of east and set south of west.
Well, I'm going to add that there's 6, basically from the 7th of December, all the way down till when it would be, I guess, the 7th of December again. You could space in between the tropics, starting from the northern projection to the southern, and you would have basically like how a fishing rod line would reel. This is the sun tracking its motions in the arc across the sky. It does this wheel back and forth, giving us the precession, the seasons, and everything. And basically what they did was they tilted the earth and then spun the earth instead of the sun going like the fishing line reel. I just wanted to interject that. Continue on with the sun calc here.
Yeah, so this is mooncalc.org. And this just shows how the moon's rising 90 degrees east. It's coming right overhead, and it's going to set over here. Then I show
it's got an image there of the moon as well, the visual face.
Yeah,
great program, by the way.
It's I'm starting to use it more and more. I like the way timeanddate.com has the numbers like graphed out so I can look through them quickly. So what I do is I look for the pattern there, and then I take it to mooncalc.org and then look at it the days that I want to look at. I watch it here because it's got this great thing. So I just show like, the day before and the day after. One day it's going across north, the next day it's going across south. So the 8th of December coming up, it'll go directly overhead. And then what we get into is I go through this list of cities by latitude. So I've got one for 80 degrees, 70 degrees, all the way through. And I look at the 8th, December 8th, at all these different cities, and guess what? It's the day that it's going to rise 90 degrees east and set 270 degrees west everywhere on Earth at every latitude
for all time. It's just I don't. It's what a breakthrough that is on. Like when you spotted this, what was it like?
Well, I couldn't believe it. I just kept going from location to location to location. Like everywhere it's rising 90 degrees east, setting 270 degrees west. How's that possible? Now this is interesting. This Eureka,
Canada. Yeah, it's beautiful up there. I'd love to go there, but I don't know if I can.
Well, they've got this down all day, up all day, and then these really wacky angles. So it seems like the moon sort of goes kaflooey up there once you get to the winter solstice. So this part of the video, what I was doing was sort of a call out to the Globers, showing them how their model doesn't work. Now, I found in SketchUp's 3D warehouse this model right here, where somebody did a great job of taking all the the globe model, and they modeled it up very accurately. So this is
I could only interject though that the southern projections don't really depict the accurate globular theorists' predictions. But sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it has the 5.145 degree tilt to the plane of the ecliptic for the moon travel. So this platter of the moon right here is tipped. It's got the Earth at its 23.5 degree tilt, and then the model was built for a winter solstice, which is nice because it's got the southern pole towards the sun right here.
It's beautiful. It's simple, right? It's not too confusing.
And so what I did here is I just put in a plane at the ecliptic so that you could see where it cuts off the Earth here.
So you sliced it.
Sliced it, and here's your equator, and at the winter solstice, this will be lined up at the Tropic of Capricorn. Now, if you look at this globe right here, and you say that the moon's going to rise 90 degrees east and set 270 degrees west everywhere on it.
I hear a siren.
Can you explain to me how that's possible?
The sun has to be a light year away, or one astronomical distance.
So I could sort of hear in my head already that so in the video so far I had just shown one point on the equator that the moon was directly overhead, so I could just see them imagining that the moon, was just so happened to be lined up with that one city. So then what I go on to do is show that at 68 degrees, so I jump just past it. So at 68 degrees, when you spin the globe around, here, I'll just let this play. So when you give it a spin now, spin the ball.
Yeah, it's going to go.
So it becomes 112 degrees on the other side, and it just so happens that at the equator we have land at 112 degrees, so that we can get information for it. And so it's this city here in Indonesia, and on the 8th, guess what? It's directly overhead, and this is the day that the moonrise and moonset are east and west. You can see the angles, are off either direction, and then this is the east and west day. So December 8th, the moon is perfectly traveling around the equator in the ball Earth, and at the same time, it's rising 90 degrees east and setting 270 degrees west everywhere. So,
everywhere. Yeah, I just got to let that sink in a little bit. For the people at home and the people at the coffee shop, what Jason is stating, which I have to concur with. My research has pointed to the same thing. Everywhere between left and right, north and south, east or west on the map that you're showing, and the globe, and any other projection, the moon rises and sets in a straight path, an arc across the sky twice a month, on the 8th, and I guess on the 8th again, or no, on the 16th.
Well, keep in mind that our calendars are messed up as far as the way the lunar cycle goes. So it doesn't line up. What I recommend people do is look at something like timeanddate.com for any month and just scan through. And the easiest way to do this is look for a city by the equator. So I use Quito, Ecuador. I scan through there and I see that whatever day it's 90 degrees overhead, it's going to happen twice a month. And then I look at that day for my location. Because that's going to be the day that it rises 90 east and sets 270 west, or the closest day to those numbers that there is. So here what I'm doing is I'm doing this over the AE map, and I sort of talked about this already. It's not possible, so I model it up. I pull a circle out to the equator here. I draw a line, this being representing 68 degrees west longitude, So this right here, December 8th, is where the moon would be located. But if you look at December 1st, here's that Schaeferville, Quebec, and so here's the 1st, the 8th, it's rising east, setting west. Now we've got these extreme angles on the 1st. That's not a huge problem for the flat Earth model when you're looking at a city in the north, but when you look at a city in the south, so here's Ushuaia, Argentina. This is December 1st as well, and this is right here where the moon is rising.
This
Okay,
this is the conflict here.
so the moon's rising from this angle right here,
From the south.
From way south of east, and it's going to do this arc where, so the meridian passing is going to be north of them, and then it's going to come back around, and it's going to set south of west, considerably south of west.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at that on a pizza pie map, so here's the moonrise angle, here's the moonset angle, but yet we know that the sun and moon have got to be traveling between here. That's a huge problem. And then I do sort of a fun thing. I did a little bit of a study. I was curious what latitudes the moon was traveling between. How far north do you have a meridian passing of 90 degrees directly overhead? And I did it manually, where I was just looking city by city, just working my way farther north, and I would see, yeah, this city has a meridian passing. And then eventually I got to the point where I made the jump from, I think it was San Juan, Puerto Rico, I had looked at, and they had a meridian passing directly overhead. Then I looked at Mexico City, and it came just short. So I knew that the meridian passing was not going as far north as Mexico City. So then I just take a look at whatever latitude, longitude that is, I guess latitude. And then I look at its equivalent to the south, and I could see that, yeah, this was the band that it was working between. Now, I was doing a little research here, and I came across what the globe model calls a lunar standstill. And then, because of having looked at Mexico City, I believe it's a little bit, I think it's about 19 degrees north. I think that's what I remember, somewhere in there. And so here it says 18 degrees 20, and well, that number clicked. So I researched it a little farther, and so here this Earth Sky article was talking about it, and it talks about how in 2016 the moon travel was between 18.5 south to 18.5 north, and how this is an 18.6 lunar cycle as far as how far north the spread goes. Mm-hmm. And so I followed this link right here, the monthly lunar standstills, and it took me to this chart right here. And so you can look at this chart, and so we're in 2016, the December 1st, it's traveling between 18.908 north and 18.908 south. And then, so it's going to continue to widen its spread until the year 2026. And then March 11th, if you're at 28 degrees north or south, 20.416, you'll actually have the moon meridian passing 90 degrees directly overhead.
Wow. Yeah, and I believe that's still south of me.
Yeah, it's actually south of me still. I'm at 30 degrees.
So I guess then I can deduce that the more that we reach this, what you said, 2026?
Mm-hmm.
So the closer we get, I think we're going to see more large supermoons and more phantom Morgana, Morgella, mirages.
Yeah, well, I'll look at it closer, but what it's going to do is it's going to affect all those angles as far as the way the angle of the rise, the angle of the set's going to be concerned. So I'm just doing this quickly in my head right now. I guess what it'll do is, let's say so Corpus Christi, Texas is a city that I think would have the meridian passing directly overhead. What that'll do is, for a very far south city like Ushuaia, Argentina, their meridian passing angle will become
Closer to the horizon?
Closer to the horizon, yeah. So
and vice versa, kind of?
And vice versa, yeah. When it's at its 28-degree equivalent in the quote-unquote southern hemisphere, then for you, you're going to see the moon, the meridian passing closer to the horizon.
And the understanding of the energy fluxes and the relationship between the moon and the sun and everything does have an effect on us, I think.
Yeah, well, I look at it, and what it is it's a very complicated algorithm. But once you have the algorithm, then you can predict where it's going to be. I mean, the way I see it, the powers that be or should not be, they know the algorithm, and that's the reason why they can predict things. They can predict eclipses. They can predict where the moon's going to be located, because they've got the algorithm, and they just won't share it.
Well, I just wanted to add, I'm not going to turn this show into a Christian thing or anything like that, but I guess you could say I'm a bit of a zealot, but I'm not a zealot just for the 66 book canon. And the book of the Course of the Heavenly Luminaries by Enoch is a book that's left out of the King James canon, and it gives, I believe, an 888-day cycle of the moon, and then it expands on that to an 8-year cycle. And I think what you're actually reading to me right now, with the path being wider and narrower, is this cycle. And I think once we've recorded it through one entire cycle, all we do is just compare the date of what it's doing, and we can instantly predict what it's going to do for the next cycle. Is that?
Yeah, all we have to do is pay attention and document and get the data, and we can build the model, and we'll be able to do it ourselves.
Yeah. So that's the other thing that I wanted to bring up as well. I'm also going to pull up an image right now to show you, just to refresh kind of the topics you just made really abundantly clear, man. So I remember this is the one that I tried to show everybody. I was met with a lot of skepticism and anger. And okay, can you see the screen?
Not right now.
Okay, it should be loading. Sorry about this. Stop. I'll redo it.
I saw it for a second.
Okay, let's see. Maybe now.
There we go.
Okay. So you see the common United Nations map.
Yeah.
And what this is depicting, it's not quite as far down as Ushuaia, but it's still pretty close. This might be somewhere in Brazil. But it's showing the exact demonstration that you just showed, with the moon or the sun rising south of east.
Yep.
And setting south of west. So the arc or the path to go in a circular motion around or under anything would be the opposite direction that this model demands.
Exactly.
And not only is it with the sun, but it's with the moon, and it does it with the moon. You're saying almost 10 times that's like to the factor of it. It's like an exponential amount more, because this was only noticeable when you move south of the equator during the southern solstice, right?
Yeah, well, with the sun, we are in the perfect time right now, because it's, you know, in its trip down to the Tropic of Capricorn, so the winter solstice will be its at the maximum that it wrecks the flat Earth pizza pie model at the winter solstice. That, and then it'll slowly, you know, work its way back to the spring equinox, and then all of a sudden, you know, flat earthers will that like the sun and moon doing circles will be happy again. But right now,
Yeah,
right now they shouldn't be happy.
no, it's not working out so good for them. And you know, there's something else that I wanted to share with you, because I haven't had too many minds that were willing to even understand it. So you can see this image here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, take away the fact that they're depicted as spheres. Just look at it as the plane that you sliced in your model is right here. And this circle is how much we can see.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what another channel, QNFI and Flat Earth Photography, have been promoting, is that we all have our own rendering in our own area. Do you have anything that you could add to that?
Well, they are excellent at observing stuff. They are out there with their cameras recording, and their eyes are well trained, and they're picking up on stuff. They are amazing researchers. Now I know QNFI has talked about multiple suns, and I've talked about him with this. I don't think it's so much multiple physical suns. I think we're each seeing the sun rendered to us personally based on our location on the grid.
Okay, I'm with you. I see. It's a personal rendering, but it has a like a constant form.
Right, yeah. So the whole grid has rules applied to it, and based on where you're on the grid, that's how everything's rendered to you.
Yeah, that's how I'm sort of basing it. Not to go biblical or anything like that, because there's so many different religions and arts. Even the Chinese, as you can see, even their money depicts, you know, basically you could form it into a tesseract. That's another thing I wanted to bring up with you and your modeling. Have you thought of the third dimension? I know we've been speaking of the X and the Y axis, but there's also this upper axis as well to take into account.
Yeah, the Z. So to me, that has to do with the distance to the horizon. So when you're standing at ground level, and you know your eyes are 6 feet above the ground, it's 3 miles to the horizon that a person can see with their eye. But as you go up in elevation, the distance to the horizon enlarges. So the way I'm picturing it right now, and you know, I'm looking for ways to disprove this. So if people have evidence that will disprove it, that'd be great. I'd love to see it. But the way I'm looking at it is, the higher you go, the larger the bubble you have around you. And then, so let's say you're up in an airplane. Now all of a sudden, your distance to the horizon is greatly increased. So the chances of chasing down the sun or moon in an airplane aren't possible because it's always going to be rendered at a certain distance from you. And so you can't catch it. That's the reason why I did that video where I used the rainbow. And everybody knows you can't catch a rainbow. And I believe that's the way the sun and moon are operating as well.
You know, today there was a rainbow in my town where I live, and I was thinking about that very exact point, the age-old saying that you'll never catch the gold at the end of the rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking to myself, you know, why is that? And I guess what came to me was the fact that because it's a rendering, because it's like a projection. Is that what?
Yeah. So, I mean, the video that I have, there's distinctly clouds behind the rainbow. Otherwise, you know, I mean, those were the rain clouds that were the source of the rain. You know, the rainbow is, although I got to study that more, but there was clouds in front of it too, and they didn't create a shadow on the rainbow at all either. So the rainbow was rendered in between the clouds. Okay, it was at a certain distance from me, and there could be things in front and behind, but it was rendered to me at that certain distance.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because it's like the clouds are interfering with your vision, perspective, and reality starts, and it kind of makes the two blur. You know, I'm pretty sure you did an excellent job with that, because you could hold a piece of film up to a light bulb whenever you want, and tell me that you could see the light bulb through the piece of film. But the problem is having the light shine in front of and behind that film, and vice versa, having the film appear behind the light bulb. And this is what we're seeing.
Yeah, that's sort of, so one of the big things that made me confident about speaking about this being a simulation had to do with seeing clouds behind the sun and moon when we're filming with, you know, something like the P900. And it doesn't even really require a P900. The P610 does a great job as well, and that's a 60x zoom, I believe. But I see the clouds behind the sun, and so it's one of those things where, just like coming into flat Earth, you know, there's once you get it, you start to, you know, everything sort of, the dominoes tip over. And here's,
yeah, as we were chatting, I was going to pull it up.
QNF has got some great footage of this. Actually, Flat Earth Photography has a recent one where he switches the filter. I mean, it's so obvious that you can, yeah, after this, take a look at one of the new ones from Flat Earth Photography.
Yeah, we'll go there and come back here. Yeah, he put a solar filter on stars, right? No,
this is a sun traveling through the clouds. It's slicing through them. And let me see here. It's a recent one.
Sun in the clouds?
Yeah.
I'm surprised I missed this, but sorry, I gotta hit the like right away. So is this is it, maybe? Or
I think so. If you, well, you've got it enlarged, but
so these are anti-crepuscular or
crepuscular.
Yeah, crepuscular. Okay, this almost looks the same footage as your plane going upside down and backwards footage did. Same time.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things. So I'm very skeptical. And when I first came across QNF's footage and Flat Earth Photography's footage, I didn't know if I could trust it. But then when I went out and recorded it myself, you know, then I knew that what they were showing was real. And so that's the reason why I recommend everybody actually pick up a camera, go out, do this yourself. Because it's going to validate all this other footage that you've seen that you haven't quite trusted yet. This isn't the one I'm thinking of.
It's beautiful though still. But yeah, I'm going to check for his other one. This one just depicts the fact that the light is bouncing and reflecting off the earth and up. It's not going around and down a ball. Oh, here he zoomed in on the sun.
Yeah. So as this, yeah, watch the way it's slicing through the clouds here.
Yeah.
And the clouds are going to help out in a little bit, where you're going to be able to see that the clouds are behind it, and it's actually traveling sideways through this bank of clouds here, just slicing right through them. And the biggest problem people have is they've been taught to believe that this is a nuclear, you know, furnace. So watch the top of the sun here as it dips down into this cloud, and he's going to apply a filter to that. And that's just a nail in the coffin. So watch this.
Oh wow, that is phenomenal.
This way it is. Okay, were there clouds behind it?
Definitely. It's submerged in the clouds.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually cutting through it. So it's not a nuclear furnace. It's not thousands or millions of degrees or whatever they say it is. It's a light source that's rendered to us at a certain distance, and it follows a certain path based on our location on the grid, and the time of the year, the season.
Well, and you were saying within a certain amount of degrees of rise and set, you see these types of anomalies.
Yeah, because it appears that the distance that we see this happening is affected by that z-axis that we're on. So if we're up on the top of a skyscraper, the sun's going to be rendered to us at a farther distance away, and then I guess you would have to, this needs to be tested, but I would assume that you would need to have a higher power telescope or zoom lens to see what's happening at that distance. So it's actually best to look at it, from a low level.
You'd say that it's pretty interesting if it's designed that way or turns out to be.
Yeah, I mean that can definitely be falsified yet, but that's the way I'm seeing it so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that when he applies the filter, that's pretty much unfalsifiable. That it is falsifiable. This is clear and proof to me. I did a video quite a while ago about the sun and the moon being submerged in clouds, and I still get people telling me on there to don't breed, throw in the towel.
Oh yeah.
You're mentally challenged.
Take this off, take it down right now, because you're ruining the credibility of flat earthers. Yeah, you'll get a lot of that. So
it's go ahead.
So what you were saying with the film strip and the bulb before, an experiment that I want to set up soon is because one of the easiest ways people try to debunk this is they'll hold a pen out at the end of their arm, and they'll use like a cell phone, and they'll hold the pen in front of a light, and they'll record it with the cell phone, and then the brightness of the bulb of the light will make it so that you can't see the pen. And they say that that's proof that it's debunking this. But what I've seen is that there'll be birds traveling out at this distance, and it has to do with the focal length of the camera. So when I'm filming the sun, I've got the zoom way out, and then I've got the focus set, to being focused at that distance. And then sometimes I'll see birds travel across the face of the sun, and I can see them right across the face of the sun. They're not obscured by the light because of the focal length and the focus distance that I have everything set to. But when you do that real close with a camera like a cell phone, it's not zoomed. It's not zoomed to the distance of the light, and it's not focused at the distance of the light. So I want to set a bright light and at a long distance and be zoomed to it with the P900, have the focus set to the distance of the light, and then go out there and hold the pen in front of the light, and you can clearly see the pen in front of the light because of that focal length and because you're focused at that distance. So there's going to be times that you're going to see something like a power line. You're going to be looking at the sun, and you're going to see a power line, and it's going to look like you can't see the power line anymore because of the brightness of the sun. But that's because of the distance between you and the power line, and the distance between the power line and the sun.
I'm with you.
So, yeah, this is a very important thing to me that we can see this, the clouds behind the sun, clouds behind the moon.
It gives us the depth.
Well, and it gives us the ability to realize how close this is happening, because the distance to the horizon for a person, the eyes at 6 foot high above the ground is 3 miles. So those clouds that he's filming right there, those clouds aren't 1,000 miles away. They're not 500 miles away. They're not 20 miles away. You wouldn't see them.
Yeah, we don't see things at 20 miles.
No.
No. Which it's no, that's not something easy to grasp though. But again, these are anti-crepuscular or perspicular. Ever since I saw the Globebusters moment with Bob and Jaron, I can't pronounce the word anymore.
You can see the cloud is actually right behind that sun. I mean, the sun.
Yeah, here this cloud is behind.
Yeah.
And then this one is just directly obscuring it in front.
Yeah, and the light's just shining up and through it, and you're getting those vertical rays from it right there. I've got a lot of footage like that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it shows itself quite a bit.
Well, and here's I've got some footage where there's just enough wind that as that sunrise or sunset's happening, that cloud might actually move away from you. And if the distance is right, you'll see the sun just all of a sudden pop out through the side of the cloud,
which is impossible in the 90 million mile away sun theory.
Yep.
You know what? If while we're on the topic, maybe you could queue up maybe the sun and the plane footage that you had. So that's another quandary.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's definitely worth looking at, in my opinion, to share with people, because it's something I've never covered in a video. Basically, the anomalies of objects seen in the sky not conforming to the constructs of our reality.
Yeah, and so, you've stayed away from talking about the Bible and Christianity in this video, but I am a strong Christian, very, and so Q and Fee and I differ in opinion on what's happening here. I actually think that these are not real planes, and he doesn't think that they're real planes either. But I think that they might be of demonic origin. But let me get here where I'm sharing this.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. The two sides, until we have definitive proof either way, we don't. It's coming in clear. They're definitely tricky, that's for sure.
Yeah, so can you see this?
Yeah, if you want to go full screen, it is coming in clear. I'm going to check the live feed. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So this is right near the beginning of the video. And you're going to see so here's a sunset. This is what we were talking about earlier. This is, getting low to the horizon. You can see the tops of trees now already. It should be showing up in just a second here. It's going to be coming in from the lower left-hand corner. Now, I had seen this. Q and Fees recorded this a number of times. I've recorded it 3 times so far.
Yeah, I find it fascinating.
I just love sitting. You see that? You see that bird that just went past?
Yep.
I see that all the time. Oh, there. Boom. All right, I'm going to slow it down. Here's 1/10 speed. It's coming in from the lower left-hand corner. Now look at the lights on it. Look at that craziness. It's got like some sort of jet trails before it dives into the sun. And then
it's crazy.
When it pops out the other side, it's got this penetration mark, like the way you see a bullet traveling through something. Here's real slowed down, and it's crop zoomed here so that I'm getting a real close look on it. Now see, when I record stars like Venus and, well, that's not a star, but wandering star, I record them with a polarization filter on. And when I use the polarization filter, I can see that type of lights, that pattern, I see when I'm using a polarization filter. And so, you know, I don't know what it is for sure. Trying to think what else is in this video here. Oh, I show Q and V's footage here.
Yeah, it's great. It's incredible. Look there, what bam.
Now, see, his was a little bit closer to the camera, but other people have got this. It's not just us two. You can find this a bunch of places, actually.
Yeah, I've seen it all over. But what exactly do you think is causing the trail?
I don't know. I think just capturing it and knowing that something like this is happening is the important part, because it breaks the lock that we have mentally on the reality that we've been envisioning for a while.
It totally flips it upside down. I got a video to show, but keep another one queued up.
Okay.
From your film. This is one that I think that Q took that he wanted to show, and I want to get your commentary on it live. Let me just 1 second. I'll switch it over. Application window. Oh, that's not it. Sorry, I'm a little bit out of sync with my usual YouTube-ness. Okay, is it coming in clear?
Just a second. I was looking at something queued up. Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Okay, so you see that. Okay, I'll hit play. So there are no chemtrails on the flat Earth. So QN believes that, yeah, there's no plane there following those trails. But he doesn't know yet whether they're malevolent or good spirits. They could be back engineering. No, but they're definitely, what we are observing is tricky. We can at least say that.
Yeah, we agree on that. And so,
there's no plane there. What do you think of this shot?
Well, and I've got footage like it too, and it's actually the video that I'm working on right now. I'm going to be doing one on chemtrails because of the footage that I have, and I'll be exploring it from the Christian perspective as far as looking at this as being demonic activity.
Like a principality of the air?
Yes.
Is that more of a direct kind of... I could see it going that way. And see, you know, the other stuff about his crazy footage is his perspective and distance to the object is different from the ones that you're capturing, and then what flat Earth photography is catching. Okay, so I'll keep this. We'll go back to you if you want to queue up another footage. Interesting that you're working on some similar things.
Yeah, I try to pay attention to the comments and the videos that I watch as far as what seems to be the biggest concern or the hot topic or whatever that is. And if I have something that I feel that I can add to that, then I try to steer the production of the videos that I'm doing that direction. So this is something that I recorded again last night. I'll be putting this footage up, and let me just get this back to the beginning, and then I'll do a screen share. So it got confirmed again last night.
Okay. Yep. You've got more footage even.
Yeah, so I had recorded this before, and then I got it again last night, and it has to do with Star Capella.
Yep, I know that star. I think it was around during my birth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but no, continue on. Sorry to interrupt.
Can you see this?
Yep, you're clear. I'm going to check the live, but I'm pretty sure it's clear. Yeah, you're good.
All right, so when you use the polarization filter, you know, we've seen a lot of footage now from the P900 where you see these disco balls of light dancing around. When you use the polarization filter, it brings out these distinct, you know, this reminds me of some of these, like I don't know, toys that you give kids to play with. But so the point is looking at it, you know, this isn't a planet, and then Capella's going the wrong way. That's what I recorded again last night.
Retrograde?
Yeah. So it's
what?
Yeah, it's north. I'm filming northeast, and here it is. It's ascending and heading east. It's ascending and going east. So I've got the camera sitting on a tripod. I've got my hands off of it, and I do that so that you can see it move through the frame, so you can detect its motion. And so here's, you know, this is with a polarization filter. You still got the disco ball effect. You see it wiggling around.
Wow. Amazing.
But if you watch the direction of its travel, it's rising and going northeast. It's going the opposite direction of the rest of the stars.
This has to. This is the next level, man. Wow.
And if we're on a spinning ball, you know, how does a star go the wrong direction?
Well, it doesn't, and the axis of rotation isn't observed anywhere on Earth. Just for the data heads out there.
Yeah. So I mean that, and so I confirmed this again last night. I've got it doing the exact same thing. Ascending, traveling northeast.
You know, that's like the clearest, most distinct, filtered. Basically, remember when I started off explaining about if you could rewind that again, and you have that in slow on your speed setting?
When I put it together in production, I had slowed it down to get that. So
can you hit the gear and even slow it more on the YouTube wheel to the right? I don't know if you've.
I don't know about that.
There's a little gear.
Okay.
And if you hit it, it'll say speed. Click on normal.
Okay.
And then go right to the top.
Okay.
Perfect. And then you can. So, okay. Once again, what type of a filter is it?
Just a polarization filter. So, I mean, this is what I typically shoot with during the day when I'm filming sunsets, because it's going to knock down a lot of the glare. You know, when you're shooting
the glow, I'll call it.
Yeah. And there's still some left, but you know, without it, it would just be, the screen would be a mess. So let me go ahead and hit play here.
And this is Venus.
This right here is the first part of the video.
Capella. Sorry.
Yeah, the first part of the video is Mars, and that's doing the normal heading. It was heading west, and it's descending the way it should. Now I'm getting some flicker here. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. It's pretty clear.
Okay. So this,
It's wow.
jump ahead.
Like that, when you start to, that's just such a crazy image of it floating there. Just,
And you know what's weird? This is a little off, but when I look at that, I see the lamb, the Aleister Crowley alien with the big eyes.
yeah, I guess I could see.
I see that a little bit.
And there's also, if you take the meridian passing above the, what is it called? In Phoenix, in Arizona, what's the dam? The Grand Canyon?
Yeah.
Hoover Dam. Excuse me, everyone. Sorry about that mind slip. If you take the meridian passing of a certain star, you actually get this cubicle, which is referred to as the Jerusalem in heaven. So, and what I'm seeing with this polarization footage is I'm seeing a definition in 90 degrees of angles at the corners of this flashing object. Do you see that?
Didn't quite follow that, but
Well, it just looks like there's it doesn't look like a sphere. That's what I'm trying to say.
no, there's nothing ball-like about it. In fact, I'm just going to point here with the cursor, but I mean this looks like a transparent see-through area. That this looks like here's the energy here, here. And it looks like a three-dimensional shape where it sort of loops around this way and may go through the back here. But this looks like an open hole here. And I would guess that coming through from this side, this is an open hole here. But, so this segment right here, the camera is sitting still and it's ascending and traveling northeast. And so what I did in the footage last night is I did a 3-camera setup where I recorded with a P900, Capella doing the same thing, ascending, going the wrong direction. I'm holding the iPhone next to the P900 with a star chart app open. So it's pointed at Capella so that you can see that this is, it is Capella that I'm filming. The app shows that it is facing northeast. And then I'm filming with the third camera, the other two, so that we can verify all this.
That's great. So now that it's set back in frame, and this is the morning?
This is evening. This is
Evening.
So after sunset for me, about 20 minutes after the sun sets, Venus turns on for me like a light bulb. I've been trying to actually catch the turn on moment on film, but it's been tricky. I haven't caught that. I see it with my eyes every time I'm watching. I'm like, I've got the camera set up, I've got it zoomed out to a certain spot, I'm watching intently, I see it pop on and I go, hey, it just turned on. And then I look to the viewfinder of the camera and I see that I didn't get it again. So I recommend everybody try it. I would love to see somebody catch it. It's tricky. It's actually, I'm looking right now and it's up and it is super bright. It needs to be filmed. But then, so after I film Venus get low to the horizon, it'll get dimmer and dimmer for me, and eventually I'll give up on filming it. Then, so that's the time that I'm going to be like turning around, heading back into the house, but I give myself another look around to see if there's anything else important to film. And that's when Capella's been catching my attention. And that's what happened the first time. That's what happened last night. And so I know it probably changes, for everybody's location as far as the order and the timing of all this, but I recommend you check it out.
It's crazy. So, I've always observed Venus, I guess, in the morning. I get up for work sometimes at 3:45. So it seems to be looming. The other question I wanted to ask you: do images sometimes appear beyond or around the stars?
What kind of images are you referring to?
Clouds. Sorry.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I haven't captured it. So one of my thought processes is that the stars are on timers, and that based on your location, your X, Y, Z on the grid, the stars will turn on at a certain time and turn off at a certain time, because especially with the bright ones, there's weaker ones that seem to like fade in, but what I'm noticing is that the bright ones just pop on. It just happens. So I when I'm filming them, I pay attention. I do manual focus now with the P900. Autofocus a lot of times will be fluttering back and forth when you're trying to film these things at night, especially a star. So I do the manual focus, and what I do is I pay attention to how far the focus is set. So it's got, it's nearest setting, and it's got infinity, and I pay attention to where it's showing up in focus. And what I've noticed is that the stars are in focus for me. Like when I'm recording Venus, it's actually in focus closer than the moon. Are you there?
Yeah, actually, I was just trying to talk. I was muted again. That's amazing. I've often wondered and thought the same thing, that the stars, especially when they transit the moon, they definitely look closer to my eyes. Render the stars physically just in the sky, not light years away.
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep this. So here's a video that Q and Fee did, and I think this is where he caught the stars popping in and out of star trail footage. Have you seen this? And I also want to point out that anybody that shoots star trails of Polaris, they're going to have an issue with the horizon being skewed. So yeah, here's the 3 stars that he highlights, and he's filming the star trails, as you can see here, and then bam, he gets these static images.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh, you're not?
No.
One sec, I'll reshare. Thank you. Sometimes it can get embarrassing. You going on and on. I'll just do the entire screen. Okay, it should be the Tesseract cube thing.
Yeah, now I see.
Okay, can you see there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just rewind this. Not to do QNP. So here's the 3 stars that he's pointing out. I'm not going to read them, but he's filming the footage of the star trail, and then boom, these 3 stars seem to pop into view, or lights. I don't know if we can call them stars. We don't know. See how they don't have a trail associated with them?
I have seen this video.
It's quite interesting, and I'd like to see this applied with the same filter that you use. That sure looks like an eyeball. or the the cube, the PlayStation cube.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but how he caught it should have, like, these lights here should have trails.
Right.
You see that this might be the moon, or this might be another star, right?
I think
have you done star trails?
I haven't yet.
No. Oh, well, that's another. You just obviously set your camera up, and you take a picture every 10 to 15 seconds, and then you filter out the impurities, right?
I think so. I haven't done it yet, and QNP actually, I asked him about it, and he said it's easy, but we haven't gotten to the point where he's explained how to do it, and I've done it yet.
Yeah, I've gone through it with a few of my buddies. Matrix Decode, another really good channel. He was teaching me about this thing called light painting. I can show you really quick, but if you get the chance, there's some video footage shot at Joshua. What's the name of that resort? Or it's like a park. Joshua's Joshua Tree. Heard of it?
I've heard of Joshua Tree.
Okay, yeah. So there's painting that's done there with Star Trail footage. It's incredible. I don't have the video queued, but definitely really interesting a technique. And also what you get with the Star Trails is you can get more meridians and more tracing points off of your moon data, right? For your model.
Yeah, well, that's actually what I'm saving up for right now. Is I want to get a theodolite.
Theodolite, yeah, those are to measure. And you see, this is his footage that he's taken from where he lives in Spain. And you can clearly see what we're looking at here. This is the celestial equator in the center. And you can tell, like, when you look up in the sky, this image would be where west, right? Or would you say that your stars go broader?
Let's see.
So looking south.
Yeah, looking south, they take an arcing path to the south, so they don't come directly overhead here. The meridian passing for all the stars is at an angle to the south. You know, what the Globers call the ecliptic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's still in the sky. It's just, in my opinion, it's not a ball. The ecliptic in the sky is more of a. It will definitely the properties of our rendering of our distance that we see, but I'm not going to get too into that right now. I can't really. But you see, this is light painting here.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then you see the trails in the background.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you take the multiple snaps and edits, like, you can leave in some plane flights or whatever anomalies you get, but by cutting out certain images, you can remove impurities in the shot. And you just hit render, and it just stacks the photos together and plays them like an animation.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, he's quite the artist. Now he's got the Phantom drone, and he's on to drone footage and measurements with the drone. That's quite the shot.
Yeah, it's all centered up. Nice. So I actually, I've been using SketchUp in my videos, and I think I may have gotten to the point where I'm ready to outgrow it. So I've been looking at 3D modeling programs, and so I'm right now I'm looking at Blender. If anybody else out there has recommendations for something else to get started on, I've got an idea of how to model up the star trails as far as the way it works in the quote-unquote northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. And so I'm looking for a program that's going to make it possible for me to render this up, put it out in a video, and help people see the way I'm seeing it. And then everybody can put their input in, as to whether or not the model's working correctly, or if there's, some modifications that need to be made to it.
I definitely think Blender is the way to go. Personally, I haven't had enough patience to sit there and go through it, because there's a lot of chains and connections, but I definitely think it's got what you need.
Yeah, I've got the patience. I enjoy learning new things, and I'd love to have a program that I could get myself to the point where I can model things up and, you know, something that's photorealistic. So when somebody looks at it and then they compare it to reality, they go, well, yeah, the two are pretty much identical.
Well, the closest that I found to, let's see if you should be able to see my screen, is this depiction here. Can you see?
Yeah.
I'll just show you this really quick. Basically, it shows the spread rate of the light, the distance among the grid, and then these are basically like snapshots of the stars now. Not so there's the background stars, there's the wandering stars, and then there's the sun and the moon, right? So there's three types that we notice up there in the sky, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think the free energy. Hopefully he comes back or maybe puts out some more videos, but he was depicting the starlight moving basically always 90 degrees east to 270 degrees west, but something to do with atmos plane or the angle of the star's path made them bend. And what he's showing in this image is that all the stars' path equal the same distance from east to west, right? No matter what latitude or longitude you're at, they're always equal. They take that amount of time to revolve one cycle, or to cross by. And I think he does all his modeling with Blender as well. Don't quote me on that. I don't know, but you could basically get. The only other person that I would like to talk with about it would be my perspective. Do you follow his work?
I do. Yeah, his videos look beautiful.
He definitely has the cleanest. You see the depiction of the stars moving. This would be looking south from east to west.
Yeah.
And remember, I said like the fishing rod, it goes like this.
Yeah.
And I think this is pretty much what we observe.
The line coming off the reel.
And then when he depicts here, he just shows the apparent motion or the apparent rotation of what we don't see, because it's like if we have to start imagining time and space as a three-dimensional instead of just two-dimensional or spherical. So hopefully we can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, time is actually, it's become very unreal. It's actually, to me, like in a video editing program, it's the master track in the background, but the slots of footage that you put on that master track, they weren't recorded where they show up on that master track. So it's just a reference point to me now. I don't really see time as being all that real anymore.
Yeah, I think I see exactly what you're saying. But what he depicts here is this ball up here would be projecting the stars that are constant, the background stars. And then what we have here would be the sun. And, I don't know if you've seen this clip right here, but this is where he depicts the north and the southerly meridians, paths, rotations. It almost like imagine time as a film running through a projection player.
I have not seen this, but it's fantastic. The reason why I want to get to know how to use Blender better is because I want to do something similar to this just on the local scale that we can see in the 3-mile radius around us in a smaller bubble instead of on.
Yeah. So sorry. So we could zoom in on our location and then we would see this at a closer range. So what I think you'd have to do is sort of blend this concept. And then I can show you one more.
But that's right on.
Yeah. He's, like I said, he's brilliant. Hopefully he comes back with more videos, or publishes his work, because I believe he was saying that he was getting frustrated with the YouTube scene because people look at documentations that are PDF'd and published more they give it more credence.
Okay.
So do you see this image here?
Yeah.
So this would be a depiction close to the equator, looking south at the stars in the sky, and this, I guess, you could plot in your moon arc, right? Your
Exactly.
and so if we go, where am I trying to go here? If we go north, it does. Here we go. Sorry about that. I've showed this to a lot of people, but so again, now we're turning to the north, looking from the south, and this is going to be our sunset. This is our west. And so if you could find like a way to personalize this slice, because this bubble is obviously enlarged to the entire surface of what we can observe.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I know how I want to show it. I just got to figure out how to show it.
it's really, really, and that's why I give you credit, because I haven't had the patience or the time to do any of that, right? So I commend you for your patience. If you could just, maybe before we wrap it up, maybe just go and show a little bit more of your SketchUp work.
Okay.
Maybe one of the, what video was it that I believe it was an Equinox video that you had done.
Well, how about this? This is really simple, and this has to do with sort of what we're talking about here.
Yep.
Well, this is simple stuff here. Can you see this?
Yep. I'm going to make sure you're presenting. Yep. Yeah, you're good.
All right, so I just put this video out to how to make a working model of the moon, and I'm doing this in SketchUp. And it's a free program. You can download it. You can do this yourself. Just, I really do walk you through step by step on how to do this. You know, the first thing you do is just take a image of the moon, and I recommended a PNG image so that you won't have the corners show up like you would with a JPEG JPEG. And then
Yep.
I take you right into SketchUp, how to set this all up, explain the different axes, how to import it. So here I've placed the moon image in there. I'm going to be flipping the moon up to, so right here you're going to see how I'm going to put the rotate tool down here at the corner. I think my jumping around sort of slowed up the video playback. Are you seeing it?
You're coming in good, loud and clear.
Okay. It seems to be stuttering here a little.
You can stop the share and then reshare. Sometimes that works.
Well, basically, I used that rotate tool. I stood up the moon, and now here when you look at it, so this green line right here is represents the north, the red line the east, the dotted red west, dotted green south. So when we're viewing that from the north, we want to get that crater down to the bottom, but this is correct for the south right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to slide the copy over just a little bit. And then, so there, I've made the copy, I've slid it over a little bit. And then I'm going to flip it over. So I think this is right about where I do the flipping. So you see, as soon as I think the video is sort of going a little slow. You see there it's beginning to tip over right there. And what you end up with is that crater down here at the bottom for the people in the northern hemisphere. And then when we rotate around to the other side, it's up like that. So this is the way we see the moon in reality. And really, you can, after you do this a couple of times, you can put this whole sequence together in less than 2 minutes, probably a minute. And it works. It represents reality.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to use 3D modeling to mimic reality as close as I can, so that we have a model that represents reality, and thereby we'll understand what reality is. So I want to do this with the stars, as far as the way they rotate in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere as well. And I think once we have that, I think we'll have sort of honed in on, well, I mean, what it does is it disproves the ball Earth. It disproves the popular flat Earth with the sun and moon doing circles. And it leaves us with simulation reality. Maybe there's some unknown option out there that we haven't considered yet, but it seems to make sense that this is simulated.
It definitely, not to, quote the movie, but it's very matrixy.
It is very matrixy.
With the constants and, the anthropic issues as well taken into account. And that SketchUp is great. I guess to add to that, I hear a lot of people trolling and always saying, why are you guys promoting false images like the Gleason's map, and not showing real, depictions of reality?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you're trying to do. I think it's great. I commend you for it.
But it's about going out and observing. You're not going to figure any of this stuff out from your sofa.
Yeah, and well, like I guess to everyone in the chat, Mark and QNF and Joseph and Lisa and everybody that's tuned in, that is going to tune in the future. I'm going to do a little bit of time travel here, and I'm going to predict that we are going to continue to reach higher peaks and further beyond the horizon than we ever have. And Jason, that's just, I'm really, when I put out my videos and I don't have as much data and proofs as I'd like to, I try to reach people and hope that people reach back. And from what your work and QN fees and flatter photographies and many more, I hope that we could do more of these types of talks and this open sharing of data. I'm going to give you every piece of data I have regarding the paths of the heavenly motions of the bodies of whatever it is above us. And I guess, where would you like people to contact you and share data with?
Well, my email is awakesouls@gmail.com, and you can email me there. The comment section on my channel, I'm moderated against trolls and shills. Ad hominem attack words are blacklisted, but anybody that wants to have a reasonable discussion, even if you totally disagree with me, I really, if you have a way of disproving something that I'm promoting, I want to hear it, because all it's going to do is hone me in on the truth even closer. So, I think we all need to humble ourselves and not be worried about putting ourselves out there and making a mistake. I actually like to get what I have in my head out as quick as I can, because I know that a whole bunch of people looking at it are going to help me find the errors that I might have missed.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. When I sit on issues and thoughts, they tend to, dissipate.
Well, I mean, I've made videos before where I've made mistakes. I've put the video out and it's gotten a whole bunch of views. Now, I could have sat back on the information that I had and studied it, and got it peer reviewed and, went through all this time and effort to make sure that there were no errors in it before putting it out. And, maybe it would have taken an extra month or 6 months or a year, or who knows, maybe it would have never gotten published. So I rather throw it out there. If somebody uncovers a mistake that I made, fantastic, wonderful, I'll correct it. And I thank you for looking into it.
Well, yeah, I've been trying to debunk everything that everyone does, and I haven't found any flaws with your work at all. And I'm looking forward to, beyond the horizon, or like you said, having a more zoomed in personal feel, or a model that's replicating reality. I think it's great.
Well, I think if this is a simulation, modeling things is really the key.
Yeah, and having them actually work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I've had a few people that have commented that they'd like to see maybe a real reality skeptic show instead of your average ball earth. Or even though I'd like to see you, Jason, go on Globebusters and whatever flat earth avenues that you want to pursue. I recommend that everybody checks Jason out, AwakeSouls, for sure. And yeah, I hope we can do this again. Hopefully you'd be willing, and maybe we could get QNFE and Flat Earth Photography on. We could have a great discussion about all of this. What do you say?
Well, I'm all for it. I really want to build a big swell right now. I want not just that group. I want people that are out there listening to this that feel that they have something to contribute to reach out and become a part of this and really help grow this big and fast.
Yeah, I'm with you there. 100%, brother. And yeah, I guess thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate you spending the time with me and with the camera.
All right. Well, thank you.
And thanks everyone for listening.
Yep.
God bless.
Till next time.